prevention. I'm like, oh, no, no, no.
All right, we are live.
All right, welcome to the Smoke Pit. My name is Katie Torback. I am the president of 5051 Veterans. I am an Army vet, and we're just going to introduce everybody. Go ahead, Rory.
Hi, I'm Rory, 5051 Vets comms director, Army vet, and I'm going to pass it to our guest, Demi.
Hi, everyone. I'm Demi Palecek. I am an Air Force I'm an Air Force veteran, and I'm still in the Army National Guard.
And what are you running for? Introduce.
All right, let's go. I'm running for a 13th district state rep in Chicago, Illinois. So it's like it literally starts in the middle of Wrigley Field and then goes north. I live in Uptown, Andersonville, Edgewater, Ravenswood, Lincoln Square.
And we're connected with 5051 Chicago, so we're proud of y'all up there. I see a lot of your actions, and I'm like, I wish my city was.
You're always invited to come up here and cause some.
I hate the cold, bro. I am a native Floridian. I promised myself after the Army, no more cold. You can't pay me to go up there. So like I'll come up during the summer. So I did a little bit of research into you. I do a little bit of research into everybody. The first thing that popped up was, of course, you speaking out. And our group, we track things like that, right? Because as veterans, we're interested in the temperature of the National Guard. And we actually platformed a National Guard member about, what, three weeks ago now, a National Guard member who's deployed in DC. And so tell us about that, about speaking out, what that looks like, and the repercussions of that.
Yeah, so I mean, there's like two of us that are still serving right now that are being super vocal, myself and Dylan Blaha. I mean, I just feel when I was little and, you learn about Germany in the 1920s, 30s, 40s, I always thought, why did no one stand up? Like I would stand up if that was me or we were in that times. And now I feel like we are definitely in those times. And I mean, no one's speaking out essentially. I mean, besides veterans, but people are so scared to lose their career. They're like, I have 1 year left. I have, my family needs this, or, we're going through the process to get documents. I can't, right? And I'm like, dude, this is not the time to retreat. Like we have to be full force on this. And it's been difficult. I have a lot of death threats, a lot all the time. My team is constantly worried. My family's a little worried. Yeah, but I just don't, I'm not going to be silent. I can't do it. And for how many, people in the military reach out and say, thank you. Like, I wish I could. Thank you. Like, don't stop, keep going, or like send a coffee or a Celsius. Like, I'm really grateful for that. There are repercussions I'm under investigation. I lost my clearance. He's probably watching right now. So, hey, I always give him shout outs when I'm on the news. Because the guy investigating me is MAGA. So I think that's super fair. But I got an email regarding the investigation. It's like, it could be court-martial, it could be jail, it could be, serious punishment. And it kind of derailed me when actually we all met in DC at Remove the Regime. And it did derail me for a minute. And I did get scared because it kind of came crashing down. Like, this is very serious. No good deed goes unpunished. But then I thought of, I was the EO rep and EO is gone. Our sexual harassment protections are gone. They're repealing, a lot of LGBTQ things. They kicked out all of my trans soldiers. And some of my best friends are trans in the military, or were in the military. And then they've been their ribbon rack is like bigger than I've ever seen. And you're going to kick them out with nothing? I was like, nope, fuck you. We're still going full blown ahead, and I haven't stopped. My unit has told my soldiers not to talk to me anymore. So like, they'll like send pokes or like, waves and things like that, like in support or hearts. But like, they are scared, especially under this regime. Like, I think everyone is scared.
I told you before we started, like, I'm a fangirl of yours. Me and Tom met you. Tom, introduce yourself really quick and your organization.
Sorry, guys, I'm having technical difficulties with this thing. My name is Thomas Seidel. I am the co-founder of Fight Against Fascism organization. Hailing out of New Jersey, disabled combat veteran. Did 8 years in the Army. Was at 88 Mike. Also secondary 91 Bravo.
Yeah, and you met me and Tom on stage at the rally and Tom was holding the other end of our coffin flag. So the reason I'm a fangirl of yours is for speaking out, right? Like our group, we are unique because we're a nonpartisan group of veterans, and we do have some active duty members in our group. And you know, speaking out is tough, right? And it takes a lot of courage and conviction to stand up and say, I can't do this. This is not okay. This is not what military service is about. We took an oath to a constitution, not to a man and not to a party. And so I commend you, and I am a total fangirl. When I met you and then you told me who you were, I was like, oh no shit. Like, I know exactly who you are because our group tracks the news very closely. And so we saw your story and we're like, oh, and then I told them, I said, hey man, I met her. Like, I met her on stage. So you know, not only that, when I was doing research into you, so my field of advocacy when the world is not on fucking fire is MST. And I have been in the MST advocacy space for quite a few years now. And our efforts in 2020 after Vanessa Guillen was murdered led to the passage of portions of the Vanessa Guillen Act and the NDAA of 2021. And it was the first time that women veterans in this country stood up and protested. And so I saw that you are heavily involved in the same advocacy space. And so I commend you for that. We always ask every candidate that comes on, you know, with it being rolled back because of DEI, right? Can you explain what's actually happening on active duty, like with the rollback of all the protections for sexual harassment and assault in the military?
Well, thank you for all the work that you do as well. Amazing. Like, we need that more than ever. You know, people keep asking, like, my daughter wants to join right now. I don't feel comfortable. What do you think? And I'm like, no, I would not, you know. I don't know exactly anymore within the last couple months, because like I said, I've been completely kind of shut out of everything. But when things started happening and you know, Hegseth had his big weird meeting that no one enjoyed and it was awkward. Around that time, you know, I was calling like, what's happening? Like, you know, people are asking me to go to EO or going to Sharp, or like, how do we put them in? And they're like, oh, there's like no class dates for it anymore. I'm like, what do you mean? They're like, yeah, just there's none. So no one's being trained on that. The last I heard from my soldiers, they said that there's like phone numbers, you know, you can call if anything happens. They aren't working. And just it's mass confusion, and everyone is kind of just silent about things. Like, they just aren't talking about things. So how many things are going unsaid and undetected, right? And I don't know, I've just spent my entire career as a squeaky wheel, which I know to some is so fucking annoying, right? A lot of the police officers who are also in you know, my unit or my previous unit were like, you just want to ruin my career. And I was like, that's not what I want to do. But if you did something super vile, I'm going to hold you accountable. Like, you have no idea, you know? And so that worries me. When I left my last unit, the one I was activated to January 6th and to come to this new unit that I'm like on hold for, you know, 3 or 4 of the, you know, younger female soldiers started crying. They're like, well, what do we do now? Who fights for us? I'm like, you guys, you have to, it's your turn. It's your turn to fight for everyone. And they're like, no, it looks really hard. I'm like, it is, but you have to keep doing it, you know? It's a hard job to be the asshole.
That worries me. Because I don't know if you know, but the RAIN report is done every 2 years, and it tracks all of the statistics for sexual harassment and assault in the military. And the numbers just keep going up. And I don't think that people understand the epidemic that sexual assault is in the military and how prevalent it is, and that more men are sexually assaulted than women per the numbers, but women burden that on their shoulders to try and affect change. And it's been like that forever since women were integrated during the Women Army Corps, World War II, to today. And so that really upsets me that nobody is doing that job anymore, and it's just some phone number. I am a MST survivor, and Steph Munoz, if you're watching this, my fucking slim chance to none. She was my sharp rep on Fort Hood, and that lady was so lovely to me. And so it hurts my heart to hear that is not going to be happening anymore, soldier to soldier, trying to walk through that process and that portion of your life. So I do know, though, since you are running for a state position, not like a federal, but like a state house position, do you plan on trying to introduce some form of protection for the National Guard within your own state?
I would love to. I would also love to go over the budget. We like make no money. I mean, I've always been working class, so I've always had to go to drill and then run home to bartend at night because I couldn't miss out on that money because drill paycheck wasn't enough. And then how much the budget just increases every year and we never see that. Or, they haven't paid my student loans in like 8 months or, things like that. There's a lot of things. And that's why I think it's so important that, number one, we have veterans in office. There's only like 2 in Illinois State House right now, and they're Republican, so they're voting against a lot of things that we need. But I'd be the only woman veteran in the State House, and I'd be the only progressive/Democrat in the State House, which is dangerous, right? And how we're losing so many jobs in the VAs, and we lost the dentist that most had just finally got, and sexual harassment, trauma, and everything is being rolled back. And I'm very worried about abortion access for military members because, like you just said, how high our harassment rate is, assault rate is, and then in a lot of places is red areas. I mean, I'm very grateful to live in Illinois. We are a safe haven. We have to keep those protections up. But when I'm not in campaign mode, my spare room is used for people who are traveling to the state for reproductive health care. And those numbers have gone up significantly. I volunteer in a couple of them, and it's some of their first plane rides is to go get an abortion because of a family member or things like that. So, and if we don't have that for soldiers, that's going to be dangerous.
It is. I am glad to report, not really because I live in a red state, but there are women veterans that have set up networks across the country to help active duty women get to places like Illinois from my shithole of Florida to receive reproductive care for active duty women. So it does exist. And I'm glad to hear that you are one of the women in that network that we probably have crossed paths in that service, because it's really not just based just solely on sexual assault, right? Is that the problem? I'm a policy nerd. I'm a nerd out for 3 minutes.
Yeah, please.
So Tommy Tuberville said that no federal tax dollars would be spent on abortion. And so recently it came out that the VA was not going to offer abortion and reproductive care anymore. And, everybody lost their minds. And I went, That's old.
Mhm.
Like, sorry, you're just finding out. Like, welcome to the party.
Mhm.
Women veterans have been fighting this for a while now, and setting up networks to help mitigate this. And so, I'm glad to hear in Illinois. Would you try to pass some form of legislation to help the National Guard in your state with abortion care at your VA? Because most people don't understand that the VA is not only a federal entity, there is a state VA, and state law can dictate different stuff within the different state VA systems. So would you try to like help National Guard members within your state, like with funding?
Yeah, 1,000,000%. And like I said, I would even like to open a grant for people who are traveling here. One woman told me that, or she was a girl, she was a very young girl, that her pastor had given her money, her grandma had given her, like everyone had to chip in money to get her in a plane, and you know what I mean? And it's our this country should not be that hard. We should not make it this difficult. If we're the land of the free, why are we doing this? All of these things. It's insane to me and scary.
Yeah, it is. And you said it in your thing there. You come from the working class. And when you hear about your background of like working class, military service, you're into community organizing, which one, like what stands out most to you? Like when you look at your entire career and like what you do, what's the most important facet of your life, do you think?
I mean, I'd have to say like working class because that's kind of rooted in everything that I do now. Um, my family was very working class, low income, depending on what was going on in my family. My mom is an immigrant from Mexico, and she struggled with schizophrenia and bipolar, along with racism. I grew up in Southern Illinois, and my dad was a union member, which was our stability. And then he promoted, and when you promote to supervisor, most of the time in unions, you lose your protections. And simultaneously, that month got diagnosed with cancer. So I started working when I was like 14, and like I said, I remember being little, like over a dishwasher, like, fuck, is this life? Like life sucks. And my first check I remember was $62. I thought I was gonna buy a Porsche and move away. It was $62. um, and that's kind of how I ended up in the military. It was my pathway out of poverty. And then I was assaulted on active duty, and I just promised myself that I wouldn't let that happen to anyone else. And then I re-enlisted. That's like the normal thing to do, I guess. And that's how I've been in for so long now. But I mean, millennials, I'm a millennial, obviously, and how hard we work. We all have side hustles. We're all like, what, selling feet pics? Like, I've seen the most creative things you guys have done. Go follow Quinn on Instagram if you guys aren't. That's how she funds her travel as feet pics. But like, I mean, everyone's gotten really weirdly creative to make rent, and it shouldn't be like that.
Oh God, Rory. Oh no, not another feet thing. I screwed up last week.
Feet pics and degrading MAGA men are the
Oh,
ways
yes.
one
That's
thing. That's
freaking
all
great.
I'm saying.
She calls you
Man.
pigs. I love it.
Can I chime in for like 2 seconds?
Yeah.
It's a conversation. Say whatever the fuck you want.
No, I know. I didn't want to interrupt or anything. So I was sitting in the sauna with this kid, and he was saying that none of this affects him because he's 17 years old. And I'm like, listen, man, imagine if the person you're with gets pregnant and abortion is illegal. What are you gonna do? Now it affects you, right? It might not affect you personally, but it can affect you in the long run. So everything you do, you know, it has consequences. So you have to think about everybody around you, right? And these conversations, are tough conversations that we all have to have. And I appreciate everything that you're doing for women, because this world's getting crazy. I have a daughter too, so when Roe versus Wade got overturned, I took my ASA uniform and I burnt it, you know, at a protest, because I couldn't do anything else at the time. So I appreciate you. I commend you for everything you're doing. Thank you for holding your oath to the Constitution. As an active member of the military, that takes fortitude that most people don't have nowadays. So
Thank you. I appreciate that truly, because as you see, it's hard. And as you know, it's hard, So no, thank you. I very much appreciate that.
I think you said something that like caught my attention that most people don't understand. Military recruiting practices in low income and immigrant communities. With promises of citizenship, promises out of poverty, and most people have like this weird like common misconception that the military is paid well, and we're not. So, you have a lot of E1s to E4s that are on, food assistance, and the recruiting practices in the military are extremely predatory. And whenever I hear people's stories where it like worked and someone like joined and then they stayed, I'm like, God damn it. Because you're like the one story that is like, oh man, like worked out kind of, but not really, because a lot of women are assaulted in the military. Look at Vanessa Guillen, Lavina Johnson, Natasha Potion. Like it's all from a very certain demographic of women, and BIPOC women are assaulted at an alarmingly higher rate than white women in the military, and most people don't know that. And I always link it to our predatory practices. So it's interesting to hear your story and me go, fuck. Damn it.
Yeah, I feel like there's a lot of restructuring we can do in the military as a whole. I mean, from recruiting to on-base housing to, you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
I understand that, but when you aren't in that control anymore, it's just like, wait, that's actually not good, or so much unlearning, you know what I mean? And now it's just like, wait, that's actually a really big problem. No wonder everyone is divorced, and on their second or third marriage, like it's so forced,
For sure. Max, do you want to introduce yourself to everybody? Max. No, cool. This is Max. He is also an Army vet. And he also resides in the same state as me. How important do you think, because most people don't understand, like Congress, 2% of Congress is made up of the working class. 2%. And they're writing laws for people to live through. So how important is it to you that a candidate has a like lived experience with like issues they talk about?
I mean, I think that's one of the most important things. I think it does, though, differentiate on what people think is experience, right? Like one of my opponents says, I have no experience in anything. And granted, I've worked for several legislators. I've written some bills. I've got some things passed. So I guess it's an experience. And I guess the military is an experience. And I guess, you know what I mean? My communication skills is not experience. I think it depends on you as a person, what you think is experience. If you're a career politician and then you finally have a seat that opens and you want to run and you think that's yours. What I do think is important is kind of people's like lanes that they have, essentially. So one of my opponents is a different one, is from like a very well off family. And then their religion very much strongly believes in having those type of religions in Congress, right? Or in power. So then they will just put more money back behind them. I don't believe in special interest like that. I don't take special interest. I don't take private equity money. I don't take corporate money because of those fundamental values. I think that, you know, everyone makes fun of, not everyone, but the right makes fun of AOC for being a bartender. What do you mean? That's literally almost everyone in the country that has been in the service industry, and people, you know, how many people are, it's just, that is what the country is. So for you to make fun of like a job that is very normal is so weird. And for you to not understand what it's like, or what, you know, to not know if you're going to be able to pay rent or groceries this month is very weird to me. I think we should be passing laws that people in office cannot hold stocks, cannot trade. And I think we need to get money out of politics, because, you know, that's how they stay in power, and then we stay in the worst conditions possible.
And let's be real, being a bartender is a tough job, and you gotta have thick skin.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I know, like, so I'm sober now. But you know, like bartending, like I give mad props, because the bartenders that had to deal with like drunk army Katie, like, you know what I'm saying? Like, y'all know how it is when a bunch of us get together and go in a bar. It's never great. You know, like we tip well, but like we burn down the place in the process. And you know, Max down there, he's an 11 bang bang, and I hung out with a lot of, you know, and you know, we like to drink and fight. So yeah, Matt.
No,
But
so true. I mean, in Springfield, how many bars they're like, do not go there, we're not allowed. And then we're like, we're gonna go. And then we go and it's a fight, and they're like, that's not right, you're not allowed to go.
yeah, and I think, you know, more common people do, like, not, don't take that wrong, God, that's the wrong term, not like commoners, but more like more everyday people need to run for office that like have lived experience. And that's why I asked the question is, you know, there's always people in like campaigns that like
Nepo babies.
smear the other um opponent, and I like opponents that are just like real and own it. Like, yeah, I used to be an alcoholic, but I got sober, you know, like, and I understand that. And yeah, I used to, you know, do this, and I don't want a perfect, I haven't done anything candidate, you know, like I want people that have like worked their ass off, and understand the struggle of affordability,
Yeah.
of not being
Besides
able.
Pete Hegseth.
Literally. I mean, I think that's why like social workers or teachers or nurses or firefighters are so important to have in office, because like they know things I would never know, and they know things that need to be passed and how to make it better and how to save more people's lives, and, you know, how to make nurses' lives better, or doctors, whatever the case may be. And yeah, I think that that's why it's so cool to have so many people come together. It's like, you know, a mini military of like so diverse, different backgrounds. But we are losing a lot of veterans. Like I said, there's only 2 in the state house that are veterans, and they're Republican. So we need more. Like we have weird work ethic. I was telling you earlier before we started, like my team, we had a veteran event, and my team is like, my 2 guys are not veterans, and they're like, that was really weird. You guys are really weird. And I was like, it was so fun, right? And they're like, I don't know. But at the end of the day, we get shit done. That's like what we're known for, you know?
Take an initiative.
Yeah.
We are a weird lot, right? Like all of us. Like when you get a group of us together, like we are a weird lot and we have very skewed sense of humor
Mm-hmm.
that people don't understand, right? And we live in our own little like secular society.
Mhm.
And people don't like civilians don't understand the problems of the military. And so I like to do a lot of education to like parents about the problems in the military because nobody talks about them, right? Like we talk about sexual assault, but there's a lot of racism in the military, the training accidents in the military that happen that you never find out about. Like you as parents are never going to know how your child died in a training accident. They're not going to tell you. And it's just so, yeah. I go to a lot of veteran events and I love being around veterans because we're just such a unique lot of individuals.
Yeah. And I love that it like overlaps with other careers like firefighters and stuff. I went to talk to a couple firefighters the other day. They're in my district, and they were like trying to be. I'm like in a pink suit, right? And I'm pretty feminine, and they were like trying to be normal. I'm like, you guys be normal. I'm in the military. I've been in for 14 years, and then they're like, oh, do you want a taco? Do you want like try this hot? And then they're like normal and like cussing and like take a look at this. Like this can explode. And I'm like, oh, like you know what I mean? Like it's just weird shit that like I don't know. It's a different world.
It is. That's why we love it. Alyssa, do you want to introduce yourself?
Oh, like I have to speak?
I mean, no.
Can you hear? Oh, you can hear me?
Yeah,
Oh,
dude.
jeez. I'm so sorry. I'm just stalking. I'm just listening and observing. I didn't even realize my camera was on. I'm so sorry.
No, your camera is not on.
I mean, not my camera, my mic. I thought I turned everything off.
You could just chill. It's cool. Like that's what Max is doing. He's just chilling. He said he doesn't want to.
Yeah, I have performance anxiety, so
Demi, do you feel that your story like reflects the people in your district?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, so my district is very diverse. It's very immigrant and migrant heavy. On my block, you can literally get Indian, Ethiopian, a burger, and then ribs and cheesecake, and then get your hair done. You know what I mean? Like it's so diverse and beautiful. That's why I love the area I'm in. And it is very much like hustle working class area. And we are very diverse in economics as well. Like we have some of the most wealthy people and we have some of the most low income people. And we have transitional housing here as well. We're trying to rezone to help that out and even some things out. But yeah, I mean, anytime I go to the doors, like, and I am able to tell my story, they're like, holy fuck. Or, you know, I've lived like 1,000 lives, I feel at this point, and I can relate with somebody on something. Like it's like insanely rare that I can't, you know, or, you know, somebody knows someone that was in the military or someone saw something I did on TikTok or something, you know what I mean?
Yeah, I think we were talking about, you know, normal everyday people running for office is the importance of a candidate that relates to the people in their district. And it's not some, you know, we were talking about like the different classes within politicians and you like you have to relate. And you were talking about transitional housing, right? And so one of your platforms is about housing. And I am a builder, like in my real life. How do you like? What is your proposal to fix the affordability problem in housing, and just overall, like your housing initiative?
I think there's a lot of different things we can be doing on like just multiple levels. I mean, I'll start with passing rent stability. I say that instead of control, as we found, saying control never works, never gets passed, right? No one can agree on that, right? So if we say rent stability, also we say a lot of times like affordable housing. What does that mean though, right? Like what is affordable housing? A like $2,000 studio is not affordable. I don't know, you know. And some apartments out here, it'll be a big building and it'll be like, oh, we have affordable housing. And there's only one unit that's affordable housing. And that wait list is 5 or 6 years long. So what are people supposed to do in the meantime? Our transitional housing, I love this one organization out here. It's Cornerstone. they just do amazing work, and they got a grant that could expand and help more people. And unfortunately, a couple people went to the zoning meetings and were super against it. And I was like really taken back. I was excited. I thought we were going to go into a happy meeting. We are going to get some more people help, because they not only do they house them, but like, you know, they have like a whole program, like let's go to work. Let's get your documents together. Let's work on your resume. Like, let's go grocery shopping, things like that. Like just stability. Let's get your medication together, because that's like one of the main issues, right? And so I was excited. I was like, we're going to help a lot of people. And like to hear people be like, well, I don't want them outside. I don't want them on my block. What are they going to do all day? And like the CEO of it is a really good dude. He's been working there for like 20 something years, like since he was like 17. And he was like, well, what do you do all day long? You go to work, and then you maybe go meet friends, and then you maybe do homework or watch TV or read a book. He's like, they're humans too. That's what they do too, you know? And I think people's perception that we need to definitely work on, and stereotypes. Everyone wants to say, you know, pull yourself up by your bootstraps, but you can't do that if you don't have any boots, you know? And I think, like I said before, this is the best country in the world. Why is it so hard? You know, and there's a lot of propaganda around people using tax money and doing fraudulent things. And of course there are a couple, but that doesn't mean that everyone should suffer and everyone should wait years to get a helping hand, you know?
Well, also being houseless, if you want to get a job, how are you supposed to get a job if you don't have a home, a residence? You need to
Exactly.
put a residency on your application.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And a lot of people don't even
Or
know.
if you don't have a phone,
Mhm.
you're gonna get no email.
Or an ID or anything, you know, like it's a whole domino effect of like not helping people. Yeah, I actually studied under Pope Francis in Italy, and helped with migrants and unhoused people out there, and what else we could be doing. And his whole thing, I'm not religious, but his whole thing as the Pope was that you should lead with your hands, heart, and your mind. Like, and that's kind of how I am. Like I've been low income, so I'm really resourceful, or that's the Mexican side of me, really resourceful and creative on how we can help people. So that's kind of what I base what I do on.
Yeah, I think the current statistic. So I got interviewed, I think early, like last year, by our vice president about what radicalized me. And it was homeless veterans,
Mhm.
right? It was the homeless veteran issue, because after immersing myself in it and trying to wrap my head around it, I realized, oh, we're not actually trying to solve it. Homelessness is profitable,
Mhm.
right?
Mhm.
And I saw that connection of like, you have a lot of large nonprofits. I won't name them, Changing Homelessness in Jacksonville, that takes a bunch of federal tax dollars and doesn't particularly help homeless veterans get off the street and stabilize and things of that nature. But then you look at like how much CEOs make, and it's like, oh, it's a profitable thing to not like actually solve the issue of homelessness. And it's an interesting concept that a lot of people don't understand that. And one of my things is I believe if you get federal grant money, that you shouldn't be able to double dip and then take money from the public. You know, is because now you're just double dipping. Like the federal government has given you money to solve an issue. You said you know how to do it. You have taken this grant funding, but then you're also soliciting the public for the same issue that you got funded. And you're not actually solving the issue. And the current statistic is for homeless veterans is once a veteran goes homeless, it takes 6 years to get off the streets and stabilize. And that is from what like Tom was saying, you know, and you were saying is you don't have an ID. If you don't have your DD 214, Like, how are you going to go to a job interview? Where are you putting your stuff? How are you going to get a shower? Where are you getting clothes? And there's this shuffle among nonprofits as well of like, we do resume building, we do this and we do this, and it's all to fill their grant numbers. And it's a system. And it's a system to keep people suppressed and not actually the hand up, right, that you were talking about. And it drives me nuts. It makes me very angry because affordable housing is doable. And I like your thing of like, what's affordable? Well, affordable to me is what was, I'm not sure how old you are, I'm 38. I'm also a millennial. And affordable is our parents were able to buy a house at a pretty affordable price within our lifetimes.
Strawberries right now, I feel.
You know, and that's what affordability is. Problem is, as a builder, right? People want to make profit. A lot of profit off of real estate, a lot of profit off of housing. Other countries are 3D printing houses, and I think we need to do a lot more investment in that as a country, because you can 3D print a house, like a 4-bedroom, 3-bathroom for like 95 grand. It's just the overhead is over $1 million.
Oh.
And you're not gonna, it's not profitable. And like, it's just not a profitable thing, because if you can build it for so cheap, you'd have to sell it cheaper. And with the housing market the way it is, I know mean housing price in Jacksonville right now for a 4.3 is like 375,000 to 425, depending on the area of the city. And so it's affordable. It's not profitable.
Yeah.
And that's the problem.
Yeah. I mean, well, and like the unhoused veteran thing, like I hear often by, you know, right-wing propaganda, like, yeah, but there's so many organizations that can help them, or there's so many, they give so many benefits. And you know, I think of our benefits, like, right, we get a free CTA card in the city, and that's like our transportation. To get the CTA card is like 6 forms of different things that you need to copy and scan in, and then write it all out, and all this other stuff. And then you have to print it. And then that's if you're, you know, and it took me a long time. I got denied twice. And then, but I know how to use a computer, and I'm younger, right? Imagine if that's a senior and they are not going to figure it out. And it's a whole ordeal. I mean, like I said, my student loans haven't been paid, like, and they said it's because of someone else from 2 units ago that didn't turn in a piece of paper. Like, that's not my problem. You know what I mean? Just like, yes, like on paper, that looks amazing. But when it comes time to helping veterans, like it's a bunch of loopholes that we can't get through. And I want to make.
I'm a senior, and I hate that. I hate using any type of way to have to use a computer to do any of this stuff. It drives me absolutely insane.
Right. And how many people you'd have to talk to, and everything. We just make it so difficult. And it's weird because we have so much technology now. What are we doing?
It is like, I hate technology. I do.
Me and Katie go back and forth all the time.
Yeah, it's just I hate it. And I worry about the older generation, because when I can't figure something out, and I grew up with technology, sort of, I'm at that generational cusp of my age, but I'm like, how do Vietnam era vets figure this shit out? Like,
Right.
I can't even figure this shit out, especially when the VA website switched to ID Me. And we had to go through that process and like send in your ID picture and make sure your head is like right in. Like, I was like, what's happening?
Yeah.
Oh God, yeah.
So in New Jersey, there is a program called Vet Haven. They bring in houseless veterans, I'm sorry, and they put them. So when you're houseless and you go through the VA process, even if you have an open claim, They have social workers that work for the VA, and they will put your claims to the front of the list, and they will work with you to get your 100% permanent total. I went through that process. I was in Vet Haven for a bit because I was houseless. And they help you with everything, and they help you get into any programs that you need to do. Say if you have an addiction problem or anything like that, they'll make you go to classes, NA, AA, whatever that's gonna help you get better. And it's a good program. I mean, if this gives you any ideas, for your state and for what you're doing, take that and put that in your pocket.
Yeah, I'm always looking, especially in other countries. Other countries have really good ideas too.
And talking about, like that of like getting help, right, through the VA, mental health, addiction, stuff like that. With the federal government cutting back on the suicide prevention line, which we have seen, we are at the lowest number of mental health professionals in the VA system ever. And we are at the highest number of veterans that have killed themselves in parking lots at the VA since 2020, within a year. And that was last year. So on a state level, how do you plan on helping curb the mental health crisis? And Tom gave you an example of New Jersey. In Florida, we do something called Firewatch, and it is a nonprofit led by veterans that train civilians and companies and all of this on telltale signs of suicidal ideology and tendencies with veterans. And so how do you plan on doing that in Illinois, like curbing veteran suicide?
So the other day I made like, when it got really bad and people were getting really scared about losing everything, when the government was shut down, people's mental health was like very, very low. So I made like a resource guide of like, if this happens and this is where to get food and mental health and whatever. And I was looking more into other organizations that I don't always work with. I work like 2 or 3 very closely. And then I was like, well, let me grab some others, right, in case they're inundated. And I was kind of taken back when like one was like only if you're above this age, one was only if you're this like below this age, this one's only if you're LGBTQ and only if like whatever. And then there's only 1 or 2, there's a couple veteran ones, but like there was a lot of like strict criteria. And I know that's to budgets. I know that, you know what I mean? And I think that we just need to fund mental health so much more. We have in Chicago, it's like a mobile van. If someone is in need, it goes and helps instead of a police officer. And usually it's like with a social worker and a whole team, not a whole team, but it's like 2 or 3 people that are trained to help de-escalate and help, right? Lack of funding keeps getting cut back and cut back and cut back. I think there was like 3 in the city that were 24 hours, and now they can only be in like certain wards. That's kind of how the city is broken up into 50 different wards. And then now it's like between 10 a.m. and like 4 p.m. or something. And it's like, okay, so am I supposed to schedule, this out or like, but at the end of the day, I think funding it is what we need, right? Like we have a lot of people who love this work and are like very passionate about it. But at the end of the day, like, people can't survive if they're volunteering 24/7 and social workers can't survive on $10 an hour. EMTs can't survive on that either. And they're not paid as well most of the time. I think, our most critical jobs are not paid for. And I think that's a big issue in our country as a whole. So I'm working on the Rifle Act. It's gun violence prevention in Illinois. Essentially, in Illinois, as taxpayers, we pay $1,800 a year that goes to gun issues. So Medicaid, Medicare, ambulance, first responders, whatever the case may be. But most of our weapons are from the 4 surrounding states. So and we can track them, and we're finding the weapons. So why would we not send that bill straight to those 4 other states where they're from? It would be kind of the same liability as like a bartender has if someone gets a DUI on their watch, or a plastic surgeon, kind of along those lines. It's a progressive bill. It's getting very far though, and Colorado and New York are looking at adopting it. But at the end of the day, it could fund a lot of things, right? And it would also cut back on gun violence, and kind of, I feel like gun violence and mental health and everything kind of goes hand in hand. It's a domino effect. But again, at the end of the day, just putting money into the communities, like that, putting money into the communities is the best way to make them safer and make people safer.
I do believe that there is an inherent connection between mental health and gun violence in this country. I do think that state VAs need to start opening their minds to other forms of alternative medicine for PTSD. And what I mean by that is most people don't understand that you can only get evidence-based therapy at the VA for PTSD. And we talk about it in our group and what that looks like, what that means, and what happens when you've been through everything offered. A friend of mine who I've known since 2020 is involved in the MST space, was helping push the psychedelics bill that passed in Arizona, which is a good friend of mine. And I've seen her advocate for it over the past 5 years, and it finally got passed. And I just think I'm not advocating for psychedelics. Everybody be very clear about that. Like, I am in recovery. I'm not out here saying like, let's do it. I'm just saying that states, like VA systems, especially when it comes to mental health, needs to broaden their horizons when it comes to evidence-based therapies that are offered, and maybe do it at a state level where you can get other therapies, whatever is discussed between you and your doctor, and what y'all decide is the best form of therapy. Would you support something like that, alternative therapies for PTSD within your state?
Yeah, I actually, my friend, she's a veteran, and that's actually what she opened up. That's like her nonprofit, and it's called Empower. It's like an hour and a half, 2 hours away from the city, but I helped her with a grant. But yeah, I mean, I learned so much. I had no idea. And she's like, yeah, they say, like you said, it's like not evidence-based. She's like, but there's all these studies, and there's all these, everything. And she's like, so I'm just fighting by myself, essentially. One senator is helping her, who's a veteran as well. But I mean, I would try it, because I take antidepressants, right, and anxiety medicine. So I just have so many questions. I'm like, okay, so I go in and, like, and then I eat this, like, and I think of like when you're younger and like you eat mushrooms or something, and she's like, oh, not really. This is like real. She's like, it's like, I'm like a doctor, and I'm like, this is crazy. I love this. I love learning about it. So, I mean, yeah, if it's helping so many veterans and life changing for so many people, I don't know why we would keep stopping it,
I just think we need to start opening our mind to different things. There's probably a large swath of veterans that we don't know about that have been through every evidence-based therapy, and it's a now what, and I actually went to dinner last night with some friends of mine, and one of them is a counselor and has been since like the 80s, I think she said. And I asked her that question, like, hey, you're in the field, like, now what? Like, what's next after evidence-based therapies? And she just looked at me and she said, well, we don't know. And I was like, oh, great. So I do think that it should be thought about more on the state level, because like I said, Arizona passed the bill. It is now like open in their VA system. I think it's fascinating, and good job for Crystal. Like, good job, my friend. You have been advocating for years, and I saw it pass. And so I think it is extremely interesting. And I hope that more people are open-minded. I think when we think of like psilocybin mushrooms, or we think of ketamine, there's a lot of people that are using ketamine now for PTSD. And as an addict and alcoholic in recovery, I'm like, nope. We just have such a hard line on some of that, even as veterans, you know, that we're like, no, I'm not doing MDMA or no.
I've been
know,
trying to
man.
meanwhile, I'm over here trying to get into the ketamine clinic
Are
at
you?
our local VA. Yeah.
Does your VA offer it?
Yeah, the one up in the Durham area does.
Oh, that's
So I'd have to go a couple hours away, but yeah, they offer it. It's intravenous, or no, it's the nasal. It's a nasal one.
Do you stay overnight? Do you know?
No, so like, the way that they explained it to me is like I'd have to have someone drive me, but I'd go up there, essentially have my vitals taken, do the nasal, what have you, and then just sit there for a couple hours to be monitored, and then released to my driver.
Can I have so many questions. So like, it's like a nasal thing?
Yeah,
Like
so there's multiple types. It's the best, like think of the nasal saline spray, I believe.
oh God.
And she's like, one-
Narcan. Hannah says Narcan.
Oh.
Think Narcan spray.
Ugh.
I know nothing about like any drug, so like I feel so.
I'm very here for that type of treatment.
Yeah.
It can rewire your brain.
Yeah, so like a nasal spray. Yeah, I'm not. I don't know. Like water up my nose freaks me out. So like intentionally squeezing something up my nostril.
Have you never
freaks me
used
out.
like nasal spray?
No.
Oh,
The Vicks one is really good if you're sick. It's like really refreshing.
I'm addicted to the smell of Vicks. So that's interesting, Rory. I didn't know that, because I know Florida, the dystopian nightmare state I live in, they offer it, I think in Miami. I think a friend of mine went to Miami to get it, but nowhere else in the state VA system. And so that's interesting. I do think that we need to like open our minds, though, if we are at a point when evidence-based therapies are no longer working, right? Because veteran suicide's still at an all-time high, and it's not even our generation, right? It's not our generation. It's not the millennial generation. It's the Vietnam era that it has the highest numbers, and that is so depressing, right? Is that they went through all of this, they stayed in the VA system, and they got all of the help, and they went through years of it, and then, you know, in the end they just gave up. And I don't know about y'all, but it's like a concern of mine, is like, is that the end game here? Is like we go through all of this therapy, and at the end we're just like, ah, fuck it.
Mm-hmm. I think as a whole, like how when we were younger, I feel like it's getting better now, how we speak about mental health. But it's been like 2 or 3 years ago for the PHA. They're like, come here, come out of line. And then I had to go see a specialist, and they're like, so you're on a mental health profile. And I was like, oh, why? And they're like, because you have a therapist. And I was like, oh, I just feel like, is that bad? And they're like, no. Because the girl also, like the girl is a civilian, and who was talking to me works in mental health. And she's like, no, it's not bad at all. It's actually great. And I'm like, then why am I on a profile now? And, you know, we think of profiles as bad, but I mean, it's still like a derogatory remark, essentially. And mind you, like 10 minutes before, then I had seen someone else like get very angry and punch a hole in the wall. And I was like, okay, I'm on a mental health profile because I have a therapist, okay, great. But I just thought it was so weird that like they were tracking that I had a therapist, and like it felt like it wasn't okay, you know? And they're like, yeah, 3 years ago. And I'm like, 3 years ago, and I'm just getting this profile now. And they're like, yeah, you know how it is.
You're doing a profile?
Yeah. So I'm like, what does this mean? They're like, not really anything. And I'm like, but it's still, what are we talking about? I
instantly, like when you said profile, I don't know about Rory or Tom, I instantly went, "Ee." Like,
Yeah, no,
I
because
saw.
I instantly
that-
thought they
I'm-
took your ability to carry a weapon away.
that's what I was worried about too. But they're like, no, it doesn't affect anything until you deploy. We'll just go over more things with you.
So I got out in 23, and I sought behavioral health while I was in, and I mean that wasn't a thing for me, but that's weird.
Yeah, I
I
mean,
don't like that.
I know I brought this up the other day, and someone's like, I wasn't. That didn't happen for me, and I'm like, okay, I need to know why. But we have other things on my plate right now in the military, so.
That part.
yeah, wow. I mean, I get like that makes me happy, right? Is that they at least flag it. I just, you're right. The term profile is a derogatory term within our community. I'm not exactly sure why, because you know, everybody's on a profile at some point during their military career for something. And it's nice, but it's also like I probably could have renamed that something else.
No, for sure.
Yeah, I refuse to ever be on a profile.
You're one of those.
And that's why you're 100% disabled today. Congratulations.
I remember being like, or like people would be on a profile. I'm like, how? I want that. And then you get, like, I feel so stupid. Can we get rid of this?
Yeah, I was forced to go to the VA. My E6, that was she was a 92 Alpha. I was with her doing Title 10, not Title 10. Pretty much I was doing like AGR work, right? I was helping them get ready for deployment. And she just realized that I was, I had PTSD from, extensive mortar rounds coming in. And she's like, you gotta go to the VA. And I'm like, this is normal.
Yeah, pretty much.
So they always tell us to suck it up and drive on, and that's probably what is the problem with the older generation. That's all they know is just suck it up, drive on. For the men, it's like be a man.
I was about to say
and
that's
we
even
have
more
to-
prevalent in the male community, though, because the way that our predecessors acted and then treated us. Like, oh, you got to be a
And
man.
also, we're always like, oh well, we're not that bad. Save that for somebody else. There's somebody else that's worse than me that needs to go to the VA. I don't want to take that from somebody else.
And pride.
That's the biggest. That's one big thing that it gets stuck in your mind.
I think that's true. When I'm at the VA, I feel bad. Like I'm like they like don't have any limbs. Like what am I doing here? That's so fucked of me. So no, I totally get that.
But we have to get out of that mindset. Like I just talked to a lady at the protest I went to today in St. Augustine about this. She is her name is Brenda. She's part of our group. She's great. She's an older woman vet. And she was like, I've never been to the VA. Like, why? And she was like, well, more people need it more than me. And I was like, what in the fuck
I mean,
are you talking about?
That tracks. My granddad was a medevac pilot in Vietnam, retired, went to work at civil service as an instructor pilot, retired, did it again at a different company, never went to the VA at all, and he passed away of lung cancer.
My dad was the same way. So my dad's Vietnam era, and when I was active duty military, my dad had leukemia, and his private health insurance stopped paying for he was on Gleevec. It was a chemo and a pill. And so his private health insurance stopped paying for it. And the cost was astronomical. And I was like, why don't you go to the VA? And he was like, I've never been to the VA. I was like, why? Like, why? And it's that mindset of like, somebody needs it more. Like, no,
Right.
the contract you had with the government was that you would serve in the military, whether you went to war, whether you stayed on garrison, whether you were rear D, like, matter. Like, the contract says that they would provide health care for anything that happened during service. Like, it doesn't matter whether it was in combat. It, like, that's the contract. And trying to get, especially Vietnam era vets, help has been so difficult because they are in the mindset that the government screwed them over once.
Mhm.
They don't want to hear about government programs.
Yeah, I mean, my dad was in the same boat as your guys is, and now he's like immobile. You know, he was in Vietnam as a medic and never wanted to go or get checked or anything like that, and it just gets worse. But also, like, and maybe you all can tell me differently, but like out here, we don't know how to like track veterans essentially. Like to see if there's any that are just like rogue. You know what I mean? Like, if that makes sense. Like, we don't know
Well,
how to
there's
get
a
our
website
outreach.
called My Healthy Vet.
Uh-huh. Do you have
Where you
to for it?
say again?
You have to register for it?
I'm pretty sure once you go to start going to the VA, you have an account. You just have to, get on there and, you know, do your sign in and all that stuff. But all your medical appointments are there. Um, and look, I'm gonna be 100% completely honest with you. I do not go to the doctor. I
None
am
of us
terrible.
do. And no, I mean, we're all horrible at taking our medicine.
Yes.
And I mean, Rory knows I was hospitalized in this last year. I legit like drove myself to the VA in Lake City thinking that they were just going to give me antibiotics and be like, have a good time. And they were like, no.
Can
Now, do I
Stay
go to therapy once a week? 100%.
100%. And I take all of my mental health meds. But like every other med is like I never finish the antibiotic. like I am that kind of person.
I mean,
Um,
it's based on ibuprofen.
God, yeah. And but no, how we do it, I think you were talking about like how do you track unhoused veterans? Was that more of your question?
Or how do you just track like veterans in general? Like, if they haven't gone to the VA, right? Are they just like, you know what I mean? And they're older or something like that. Like what is the outreach? Like, we always try to, right? We have like Chicago veterans, we have like the post and things like that, but it's usually like the same veterans, like, if that makes sense. I'm not explaining it well whatsoever. Um,
So
Yeah, I don't think I
we're
don't
gonna
know
get to that
about that.
question in 1 second. Rory, keep it there. How we do it, right, is so we have the Veterans Council of Duval County. It's the VCDC. It is a council comprised of all of the veteran service organizations in the county, in Duval County. And Duval County is huge. So I know if we can do it, smaller places can absolutely do it. And it's just, they went to the city, the veteran community, and said, we need to focus on veterans. We're all VSOs, every single VFW, every single Legion, like every single VSO in the city has a meeting once a month and they talk about numbers of like how many people they have and stuff. And that's how it's tracked, is that all of the VSOs have come together to form an organization of its own. And I mean, you're a community organizer, I'm sure you're a coalition builder, and there's, power in numbers. And in Duval County alone, it's like 196,000 veterans. We're a voting bloc. So we have the power within our county to sway elections. And so we have utilized that power through the Veterans Council. And like smaller cities should do it. Like we have a 5 county area in Florida. It's like the northeastern Florida area. And every county in the 5 counties has its own council. And then the presidents of those councils have their own little clique. And so it's all very organized, and it's a really good way to do it and to track numbers. And then for homeless veterans here in the city of Jacksonville, we do a point in time count twice a year, where volunteers, it's mostly veterans, that go out and count every single homeless veteran in the city of Jacksonville. And we learned that you have to change your verbiage of, are you a veteran? Because of that, like, I didn't serve in combat or blah, 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 blah. Like, and a lot of people don't consider themselves veterans.
Mm,
And so we had to change the verbiage of, have you ever served in the armed forces? And,
interesting.
like, or do you have a DD 214?
Mhm.
Because if it's a yes, then you're a vet. Right. And like, especially women veterans within the women veteran community, a lot of women veterans do not consider themselves veterans. And so the verbiage, but that's how we do it, is we have a veterans council with every single VSO in the county. And I think it has 81 member organizations.
Oh, wow. Yeah, we'll definitely have to connect about that. That would be really cool.
Yeah.
Definitely that here.
All right. So question, ain't no one going to the dock after all those premiums go up, which is true. We did see, though, that it passed the House, so it has to pass the Senate. How are you going to help people in Illinois with premium, with cost of health care?
Again, unfortunately, there's a lot of things that we can do that we're not doing. So first off, I don't think that anyone in office should be able to take money from health insurance companies. That is one of the main reasons, like, why we are in this fucked up cycle. I also want to abolish, what is it called? It's I forgot what it's called, but it's basically like a second piece of script that you need to go to like a physician. I cannot believe the word is escaping me. But whatever, you need it, like a referral essentially, but you need it, and it is like a buffer in time and money, and your doctor already referred you out. Why do you need this other piece of paper? It's because insurance companies make extra money from that. Like, why? That's really pointless and adds to time. And I would love to say, like, more progressive legislation that, we'd hold the billionaires accountable. We'd hold these corporations accountable. Like, obviously, I believe in that. And yes, but at the end of the day, when I go protest at Broadview Detention Center and it's like 40 protesters and there's 600 cops and there's no bat to the eye of how much money we spend for police and for ICE and for anything like that, but we can't have teachers, we can't feed kids, and we can't have healthcare, and we can't have housing. Like, I understand, like, at the end of the day, I get annoyed that I'm like trying to be resourceful with my state when they're just throwing money at ICE. You know what I mean? So I don't know. That was like, that enrages me, that I'm like looking at the budget and being weird to try and like move items or think of other ways. And then it doesn't matter for billionaires, corporate, or ICE, So I think we need to be harsher on that.
I think the reallocation of funding is so important on a federal level, because our group does, we believe in healthcare for all. We all agreed upon it, our nonpartisan group. We think that healthcare is a human right.
Mhm.
And the reallocation of funding for us looks like abolishing DHS, right? Is we think after it was created after 9/11, the mission it was created for, it's not doing. And all that money could be saved and reallocated to do taking care of Americans. America should. And within your state, do you think looking at some of the funding of like how your funding is allocated within your state, because you said like looking at the budget. I look at budgets. I'm a total political nerd, and I look at budgets too to be like, oh, what do they spend on this and why? And would you take your time as a legislator to like fine tooth comb the budget to try and push it towards healthcare per se?
So in my district alone, we lost our third hospital in 6 years. So right now, if I needed an ambulance, and the city's probably turned theirs off, right? Like more like it's Lakeview, it's like 10 minutes away. They've probably turned theirs off because they're the center hub right now. I'd have to go 25 minutes, 30 minutes up north to a suburb almost. As we know, that's that's insane time if you're in a medical emergency or a senior or hurt or anything, right? What has been happening is private equity will come in, or a sole buyer will come in and just gut and like really hurt. The one, it's a couple blocks away, he made valet parking like $30 to go to the hospital. Like, I mean, I honestly think that should not only be illegal, but I wanted to fine him super bad. Like, that was so disgusting to do. And then at the end of the day, he just sold the land. And then we got there to go have a press conference and protest and see what else we could have done. Like, the county could have taken it, the city could have taken it, the state could have taken it, and we could have held those jobs and had, you know, that resource. And instead he sold it for a parking lot and the doors were locked, and then started selling the equipment inside. Like, I think that is heinous and egregious. But it's happening all over the state, all over the country. Right? It's these rich people coming in and really hurting the healthcare system. And like I said, I mean, I'm for healthcare for all. Like, hands down, I think it's a human right as well. And I get really mad when you go to baseball games and football games and you see all of these insurance companies have bought, you know, whatever. They were at NASCAR. They had a car. Each insurance company had a car. You have that much money, but I can't afford my insulin. You know, people are dying without inhalers. Like, I just think that our whole healthcare system needs a total reform. We've made it, not we, but, you know, the big rich demons in our country have just made it a cash cow for them. And I hate it. I hurt my arm in France. It was €2. That's in
I was talking to a gentleman today at the protest in St. Augustine, and him and his wife had been Republicans for like 35 years or something. And we were talking about this, you know, like very thing of like healthcare and how it works and things of that nature. And it's such an interesting thing when we talk about healthcare as a human right. And it's such a radical idea to a lot of Republicans, right? Because they don't realize that it's a profitable thing, right? And I've never had to use the private healthcare system, thank God. I, you know, was on my parents' health insurance, and then I joined the military, and, you know, now I use the VA. So I've never really had to be in the healthcare system itself. But I do know, like you said, I have friends that have no health insurance, that cannot afford it, that need surgery that is thousands of dollars, and they choose not to get it because they don't want to go in debt.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, that's abhorrent. That's abhorrent.
Mm-hmm.
And when you're talking about like the private healthcare system and land and rural hospitals and things of that nature, it's like, as those rural hospitals shut down, like, people are going to die.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. I think, what is it, like 150,000 people in the country a year die in the emergency room because they waited too long to get there because they didn't want to, they couldn't afford it.
No shit.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean,
That's a wild number.
mhm.
Yikes. Yeah, so I think the reallocation of funding is like super important, right? For healthcare, we also believe in education. Um, one of the things that always I ask everybody that comes on here is education, right? If education for all, we think a educated country is a happy country and a productive country. So we do believe in an educated population. The only thing that we always ask is like, how do you think that would work with BAH?
Like, what do you mean? How would it work with BAH?
Like education for all. Like if we're gonna do like free public education, right? Is we get a BAH stipend with the post 9/11 GI Bill. So do you think that how would that work?
Yeah, sorry. I thought you meant like small children's school. I was like, wait, what do we mean? I mean, I feel one of the reasons that they don't want health or schooling for all is because it is such the number one recruiting tactic for the military, right? Like, why else would people join the military? I mean, I let me take that back. I know that there are a lot of reasons why people join the military, but that was one of the main reasons I did. I never would have been able to ever set foot in a school, you know? Um, but I think that's like one of the main reasons because I, health or school, I keep saying healthcare. School used to be free before Ronald Reagan. Ronald Reagan has ruined everything in the country. School was free for us. And then he did not want women or people of color to stain higher education. And so then he started charging just those demographics, which is why we have, funds for those demographics to combat that. But since, again, of course, this country of capitalism has made schooling into a business. I don't know. I feel like, and as you said earlier, people join the military and oh boy, he is. People join the military and they recruit in lower income areas because they know, like, hey, this is your chance out. This is your chance to go to school. This is your chance to travel. You'll never see the world otherwise, right? And I think that they do that on purpose. I don't know. I think we'd have to think of better recruiting tools for military members. And at that point, but again, I don't know. We'd be a much smarter country, right? We wouldn't be in the situation we're in right now. And I think the situation in the world we're in right now is because of our education just sliding down.
Yeah, I agree. 100%. I say it's my Lord's work of arguing with people on Facebook and trying to put out good information in education, right? Is because we have an entire population, I believe, that lives in a completely different reality. And they get their information from different sources. And one time I was trying to argue with a woman on Facebook about a point, and I posted my receipts, and she posted her receipts, and it was the same like basic article with different statistics. And that's when I realized, like, oh man, like we really do live in a different reality sometimes when it comes to information and information literacy and things of that nature. And I think education is such a strong piece, not only within our own community, right? Like, so within the veteran specific community, I think there's a lot of education needed around LGBT issues. And you identify as queer. And I was in for the changeover of DADT. So that's when I served. Is one day it was not okay to be gay, and then the next day it was. And it was an interesting time, right? In the military, nothing changed, right? Like the public went weird about it as usual.
Of course.
But like our microcosm of society, like within the military, nothing really changed. And so you and Rory are in an era where you served with transgender service members. And we have transgender service members within our group that have been kicked out as well. And so I believe on a state level, at the VA system, the state level VA system should provide care for transgender service members and veterans. What's your take on that? Is like, I think that can be funded through the state if the federal government is not going to abide by the contract that they signed with the service member.
No, I definitely agree. And like I said, like I'm working with ACLU to see what we can do for our trans service members, because they are the best people I've ever served with, probably. And for them to just be kicked out, and I felt like no one was fighting for them, and that's what made me more upset. I think that they deserve reparations, because I mean, some of them that I knew lived in Hawaii. So now you're gonna, you know what I mean? Like, that's a big life change. And they've been in for, I don't know, how long have I been in for? 14, 15 years. That is your whole adult life of straight being active duty.
Mhm.
And then you're gonna kick them out with like literally nothing, zero benefits. That is heinous. And that's not what they signed up for. So for the military to be so obsessed with their contracts and then them not abide by them is just wild to me. And I don't know. I think it's weird that they focus on that. You know what I mean? If trans soldiers are exceeding, they honestly exceed every criteria ever given, and then you're going to just focus on that and then kick them out. I mean, the same thing with LGBTQ members. Why are you attacking them when, I mean, the military is the biggest socialist program and the biggest gay club, and I don't know why you're going after both. Like, it's so weird, like what they focus on.
Man, I'm gonna have to use that. God, that's funny as shit. I thoroughly enjoy that because I have a firm belief that people who never served with openly trans service members really don't have a valid opinion on it, right?
I mean, I'm an asshole though. So I've done a couple like weird things in my head or just played games, right? My 2 units ago, or actually last unit, when we started have to document if someone was trans, this asshole, right-wing asshole was like, I know the two. And I'm like, actually, we have 7 in this unit. And he's like, oh, we do. I'm like, yeah, you just don't know. You don't know. And also, by the way, we've been serving with trans people the entire time the military has been here. And then he like never talked about it again. Because you don't know. Who cares? It didn't ever affect you, and it's not going to affect you now. Oh, but you just lost your lead mechanic because you're an asshole. I hope you feel better because you can say weird shit on Facebook now again.
Listen, as long as you can pull that trigger, I don't care where you come from.
I don't know. Yeah, it's just weird to me. And it's sad. I don't know. And yeah.
It's angering. We have a member of it, and she's a very close friend of mine, Cheryl, who lives here locally, and she was kicked out of the military for being gay. And to see the policy change in my lifetime, and like the policy changed when I was in, and then openly trans service members, and then the policy changed to no, and then the policy changed to yes, and then the policy changed to no, and then the policy changed to yes, is if I didn't medically retire, right, I would be at the cusp of retirement. And so I know a lot of veterans who got out and then transitioned within like my time frame. And so how are you going to let somebody go 20 years and then kick them out with nothing? And especially when it comes to VA healthcare, right? Because I do think that that is a state legislation thing, that it can be done through a state VA system where HRT is offered and things of that nature, right? Because trans service members are not the only ones that take HRT. Women take estrogen, men take testosterone at the VA, and it is still offered. But if you are a trans veteran, it is no longer offered to you. And so I do think that like you should do that in Illinois. Florida is never going to go for it. But you live in a state that is like, and is progressive, where you could possibly at least do that right by your soldiers.
Yeah, I mean, I will do everything I can do to protect the trans community and obviously trans soldiers as well. The second that you leave Chicago, it's kind of a different world. But Chicago is like the safe place that everyone runs to when they aren't accepted where they grew up, you know? So I think that's why it's so much happier here. um, but yeah, I just am just appalled by what's happening all over, so many different things. And I mean, just the rhetoric and the propaganda put out, you know, that soldiers have all this downtime, that they cost all this money. Viagra costs billions of dollars, and we're fine with that. So, I mean, and any gender affirming care, like I always say, I have gender affirming care. Like I've had my boobs done, I get Botox, I get my lips done. So I will always say that. So it normalizes, like, it's not a big deal. I don't know why it bothers you.
That Viagra, gender affirming care.
Yeah, I know. And some of the men who hate it most, you guys need Botox. You know what I mean? I'm like, you guys should line up too, because you're not aging well because of all the hate. I'm just gonna say that.
Funny as shit. Yeah, it's such a weird argument, and it's always with a very specific, how do I put this? A specific subset of veteran.
Mhm.
Demographic.
Yeah, there you go. TBI. Sorry. Thanks, Tom. Demographic of veteran that is like, oh, you know, trans service like members are a stain on our military, and you know, made our military weaker. And I, you know, my comeback is, you know, stains on the military are like some of the massacres we committed. Those are stains on the military, or the fact, and it's like for Vietnam era that mostly say it. I'm like, y'all had sex slaves. There was like an entire congressional investigation.
Mhm.
So that was a stain on the military. Or, you know, Abu Ghraib
Mhm.
was a stain on the military. There are multiple stains on the military, and trans service members is not one of them.
It's really just misogyny, right?
Yeah,
They're afraid of trans women, but they're not afraid of trans men.
yeah, that is true. That's
So if a woman is stronger than, you know, a trans woman is stronger than them, they're afraid. For what? I have no idea. I don't know why it bothers them. Half of them can't bench 225 anyway. And they, you know, probably take a gender affirming care and they still can't do it. So they should just mind their freaking business.
I that's so funny. I agree. I mean, it's just their disdain for women. I was in ALS class. What is the Army Leadership Course? ALC. Is that right? I'm dyslexic, whatever that is. In the summer. And my topic, because I'm annoyingly left, was women, history, and the military. And you know, my first question was like, how long have women been in the military? And they all were like, since like 1994 or since like 2006. Like, it was insane, right? And it's like, no, they've literally been here the entire time. Like, they would fight for their husbands instead. Like, what do you mean? And I had like all these pictures and all these stories of like thousands of women who have fought. And they're like, that's not true. That's definitely not true. I'm like, okay. So,
It's wild because it is the best. I always tell the story of, the best sniper in World War II was a woman,
Oh, cool. I didn't know that.
a Russian woman, White Widow.
Oh, okay.
And women have been leading the charge of battle for thousands and thousands of years.
Mhm.
And with Pete Hegseth in charge of the Department of Defense, he is a white nationalist. He has white nationalist tattoos, and we all have to agree on that, whether people want to or not. Like, it is what it is. He's a white nationalist, and it concerns me that he has somehow spoken to the young generation of soldier, like male soldier in the military. And the reason it concerns me is when you watch the Army Navy game, I don't know if y'all watched it, but I watch it every single year. The West Point cadets were like cheering all of it on. And with Pete Hegseth firing the top two women. And did y'all hear? Actually, Rory, we haven't even talked about it in our chat because the world is on fire.
Mhm.
Of the man he is going to appoint to lead the Navy. Did anybody see that?
No.
Wait, say it again.
The man that Trump has decided is going to lead the Navy.
Yeah, isn't military at all.
Yep.
Yeah.
What is he? A Fox News host?
Billionaire.
Oh. I mean, yeah, they're gonna privatize us.
Yeah.
Tears.
I mean, Dylan Blaha and I were joking the other day when they like went after Venezuela, and we're like, because that is a concern that we get all of the wonderful fucking world. That is a question that we get often, like, is there something that you would say yes to right now? And it's like, he just keeps doing insane shit. Like, that's not fair, right? And then a lot of soldiers are like, I'm gonna get out. I'm getting out. I'm done because I can't trust this dude. I have a family now. Like, I can't just go to a war for nothing because this guy's insane, you know? Yeah, that doesn't surprise me and is unfortunate and scary.
It's wild.
Yeah.
And like the entire world is on fire, and I think we just like as a group kind of skipped over it because we were dealing with ICE shooting a woman in the face.
Mhm.
That kind of got like pushed to the side. But as a veteran group, like it is utterly concerning that we are going to have someone lead the Navy who has never served a day in uniform, who is a billionaire and apparently donated enough money that he got an appointment within the administration. And that is so dangerous. It is incredibly dangerous.
Yeah. I don't know why I've never failed up like that. Like, that's so insane. Why
Yeah, but I mean, it is just so wild. And I think with like the entire world being on fire, that people just kind of skipped over that news that came out. And I was like, oh man, that's crazy. And so, you asked us before the show, like, do we stay away from any topics? And we don't. As our veteran group, we talk about every single topic. So I did see a question pop up of how would you protect your community from ICE? So how would you protect your community from ICE?
Yeah. So I'm one of the like organizers at Broadview Detention Center. Right now, it's about 35 minutes from where I live. That is how I started speaking out so publicly, because there's video and pictures of ICE and I literally like fighting. If you go to my Instagram, it's like head to head me fighting with them. And we were trying to stop vehicles from leaving with people because they were just abducted and we had no idea where they were going. and then trying to capture their license plate to track the vehicles to see where they were taking them. Right. We were calling every elected official to try and open the detention center because there's like one toilet in the middle. They're not being fed. There's like no air. There's no water. It's just awful, like inhumane, and they don't care. Right. So I want it shut down and I want repercussions for ICE. What they're doing is disgusting. It's illegal. And I don't care if they are just taking orders. That was not an excuse in Germany. It's not an excuse now. They're literally Gestapo. They, as I said earlier, I don't think we were rolling yet, but they were knocking door to door in my area. No, you know, these are humans and they've been here forever. I'm just really appalled and shocked. I'll go in shell shock sometimes. And like when it first started, I couldn't leave my bed. My family's Mexican. The family I married into is Mexican. Like this is terrifying. And you know, before the right wing would say, well, it's just like the criminals. I mean, if someone has raped someone multiple times or killed people, okay, I get it, obviously. But that's not who they're going after. They haven't gone through the jails. They haven't gone through the domestic violence list. They've gone to work sites and churches and schools. That's disgusting. And yeah, I think that I would like to pass a bill that we would help families come back together and try and salvage what they've ruined. But at the end of the day, I'd also love to hold ICE accountable for their disgusting actions. Because they're very violent, as we've seen, obviously. And I knew that was going to happen. I don't like saying that they're not trained, because obviously they're not trained, but also that gives the right wing people to advocate for more money for them. That's not what we need. We don't need trained militia here. We need them out of our cities.
Yeah, I agree on the lack of training. And yes, Stephen Miller, yeah, he's an interesting individual. But you know, protecting your neighborhoods, right? And I said I researched it, and I did, and I know that you're a community organizer. But I also know you got your start in mutual aid. And so I think that mutual aid today looks more like community defense. And when I say that, there's a lot of clutched pearl reaction. So I am going to explain what I mean. And what I mean by ComDef, everybody who's been organizing for an extremely long time, I know Demi knows the term ComDef, community defense. ComDef today looks like watching out for your neighborhood and watching out for your neighbor, right? Is that, like you said, if we were talking about murders and we were talking about the worst of the worst, like, yeah, I don't want them here either. I don't think you're going to find anybody in this country who is of sound body and mind that is going to look at you and be like, let's keep the rapists. Like, it's just not happening.
I mean, we can elect the rapists, but we can't keep the Latin ones, you know?
Yeah, like, let's keep them. Let's keep the murderers. Like, nobody is saying that. And I encountered that today at the ICE protest I was at. And I'm like, my guy, that's not what happened. What's happening? They're kidnapping and deporting business owners and people that have been here for years, that have come in legally, gotten asylum, and had their asylum rejected by the current administration, which then now they're undocumented. And that's wild to me too.
How many veterans are being deported? Like that is like that.
So
No.
we know that statistic. There is, for everybody watching and anybody that ever wants to read into this, we have a partner organization. It's called Repatriate Our Patriots. And it is run by an extremely close friend of mine that I have known for years, who is of Mexican descent and became a citizen through the military. She sent me a very detailed research paper out of UCLA. So if y'all have time, it is like 43 pages, but it is worth the read. If you Google UCLA Berkeley Law, deported veterans, it is the second link that comes up. It's a PDF. And it states in that research paper that 96,000 veterans have been deported since Vietnam. And that is a problem. That's an extreme problem. And there is a bigger problem today than there has ever been. The most veterans were deported during the Obama era. Most people don't know that, but that is the truth. But today's veterans that are being deported for small civil or criminal offenses that happened 40 plus years ago. And so what I mean by that is there was a Vietnam era vet who, Silver Star recipient during the Tet Offensive, caught like a small marijuana charge in like the 70s or 80s. He paid his debt to society and they deported him. And it is happening alarmingly at an alarming rate. And I think here's one for you. Jose Barco. Everybody needs to know that name. It's a very interesting case and it brings up a very interesting topic for discussion within our veteran community. Jose Barco is not a citizen. He murdered somebody. He is an Iraq Purple Heart recipient, spent his time in prison, did his debt to society, then got deported, right? The country they sent him to said, we don't want him. And they sent him back to the United States, where then he sat without a country in a prison for an extremely long time. And the bigger like conversational piece here is, yes, he did murder somebody. Fully understand that. He paid his debt to society, but he also bled for this country. And he's a Purple Heart recipient. You know, like, so it's a larger question of, yeah, I do want the murderers out, right? But we have these unique one-off cases that we also, it's a broader question within the veteran community of like, how do we deal with these one-off cases that is a Purple Heart recipient or a Silver Star recipient, or like that they have done so much for this country, but they did commit a crime.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's why due process is so important, but there isn't one right now.
Yeah.
And then people aren't being sent back to their country of origin, or they've never even, you know, they were 6 months old when they were brought over, they're now 45, 50. Like I posted a picture on Christmas. I don't love the holidays. And it was at Broadview with a protest sign. And it exploded. It's still popping off. And like just the like lies and rhetoric that they put out, like that they're all murderers, that they're all rapists, that my tax dollars will come back to me now. Like that's not gonna happen. That's not how it works. It's again our education system and the propaganda. And Ronald Reagan.
Let's not forget that Ashley Babbitt's murder is on Donald Trump's hands, and also the fact that Donald Trump is a 34 convicted felon, and he is liable for raping E. Jean Carroll. So when they talk about this, they voted for that. They voted for everything that they're against.
Yeah, it's deflection.
I can attest to that. I posted something today about ICE, and one of my old soldiers commented on it, saying, "Yeah, this is what I voted for." I was like, "Yikes!" So yeah, that was a thing.
Wildness.
And it's crazy because
it was about Renee. It was about Minneapolis, and he was like, "This is what I voted for." I was like, "What the what?"
Right, but we couldn't say one thing about Charlie Kirk. and
Yeah,
and
that
everyone
part.
had to, like, he's a father, and it was, and no matter who dies, you should be respectful. But
Yep.
they're making fun of her and her family and her being queer and what she looked like, and making up AI videos. Like, it's so weird. I don't know what
Yeah, I don't know about Charlie though.
The AI has ruined society, in my opinion.
Yeah, it has. And it just floors me, especially within our community. Yeah. I completely agree with that. That I thought we weren't allowed to elect felons. I thought that was written somewhere in our constitution.
That's so funny that that's brought up, because in Illinois, a new proposal for legislation is if you are a criminal of any sort, that you can run for office now, and in the state. And and again, I'm from Southern Illinois, so all the comments were like, no, no, like, really against it. And then I was like, I'd look at their pictures, and they were super MAGA, and they, you know what I mean? I'm like, yo, you voted for you support a felon right now. Like, what do you? It's just like
Because they think it's all that quote witch hunt, and they think it's all fake. But like that's interesting, because here you're allowed to run for city, state as being a criminal here in North Carolina. Because we had a situation where we ousted a guy that was a criminal that didn't declare he was a criminal, because you have to declare it essentially. So
Oh, so like with your filing paperwork, you have
yeah,
to be like, I'm filing for Congress, and by the way, I'm a felon.
yeah, exactly. Actually,
we'll never know.
Jesus Christ. Oh man. All right. Well, we wrap up in a way that's kind of weird. You'll know what it is as soon as it starts happening. But for everybody that doesn't watch us, didn't Colorado try to keep Trump off the ballot for that reason and got smacked down 100%? Right? 100%, because he's a criminal. So
Somebody took your oath seriously.
So first off, how do we support you? Where can we find you? When is your next event? Because I know you reached out to me about your next event. So when is your next event? When is your next campaign event? Where do we give you money? And things of that nature. Fill us in.
Yeah, so please follow me on Instagram, Facebook, anything like that. Everything is Demi for Illinois, spelled out, Demi for Illinois. And yes, I'm grassroots. Like I said earlier, I do not take corporate money. I don't take APAC money. I don't take anything nasty like that. So this is very much people powered and working class people powered. So if you could donate, anything would be super helpful. It's on my website, demiforillinois.com. We do have an event coming this Saturday that makes my stomach hurt. You guys are all invited. It is in Chicago, unfortunately. We were trying to figure out a live stream option, but I had no idea live stream was so expensive. But essentially, a bunch of influencers are coming together, and kind of, if you guys watch Real Housewives, it's kind of based on a Real Housewife reunion. We kind of trauma bonded over this year, getting punched in the face by ice and getting pepper sprayed, and kind of showing clips of this last year and figuring out how we're going to move forward together and effectively. It'll start with a comedian. We'll have a little Democratic roast as well, because they deserve to be roasted as well, and held accountable, right? And then I do have a mutual aid event that's also a fundraiser at the end of February. If anyone doesn't know, I don't know how it is in your state, so let me not say it, but senior citizens who are in assisted living or are on a fixed income, they have about $20 to $52 left over at the beginning of the month to sustain them. So that's to buy toilet paper, soap, medicine, a snack, anything. So we're going to be doing a mutual aid event for that to help all of the senior homes in the area. So it'll be kind of like a Love Thy Neighbor event. We'll have the kids making like cute cards, and you can donate to my campaign at the same time. But if you know anyone in the city, and can reach out, that's amazing as well. And if you want to phone bank, you can phone bank from anywhere in the country. So that's super helpful because I'll sit here making phone calls for lots of hours.
What's the date for that?
For phone banking?
No, for your event.
For the Chicago event with the influencers is on the 17th. And it'll be like a cool day. So we'll be uploading things like Be Our Friend on all of it. Good Troubles Coming, Jolly, DeWoke Gender. We'll start literally the morning protesting at Broadview Detention Center. Then I'm going to make them go door knock. I don't know if they know that or not, but I'm going to make them door knock with me. And then we'll have the show at night. And then the Valentine's Day, Love Thy Neighbor will probably be February 25th. So still trying to work that detail out. But yeah, anything that anyone can donate to the campaign is super helpful. If you know a rich friend, send that over. Know anyone that wants to be more involved. I also have a shop if you need gratification for spending money at the same time. It's union and local. But yeah, and if you want a phone bank, it's Tuesdays and Thursdays. And then it's a training that we kind of just guide you through. And then once you're good with that and you feel comfortable, you're more than welcome to phone bank anytime you want.
Love it. I know Tom and I will formally invite you to come to DC on 2/28 for March for Democracy.
Oh yeah.
And we're also doing a date the 27th as well. We're doing a lobbying event with Flair. So we haven't got that on the website yet, but it will be there soon.
Cool. Yeah. The election is March 5th, so I may be losing my mind at that moment, but
That's okay. We're all losing our minds, especially right now. And we need everybody. We need veterans from all different demographics. We need people from all different demographics to show up on the 27th and 28th. It's time, guys. We gotta do something. We have to make our voices heard. And I don't mean to take over your smoke pit, but this has to happen, and I'm so tired of seeing our people struggling, watching our country fall apart, and we need to be united.
Mhm.
Yeah, we do. And we're glad to be partners in the event. We'll be in DC. It'll be, if you're there, it'll be just like a reunion for the three of us.
That's very
You know what I'm saying? But so how we close out is we do a safety brief.
But I love that.
Yeah, and I'll let you go at the end because I'm sure I'll miss some. So for everybody watching that doesn't know what a safety brief is, every Friday at the close of business, you gather your soldiers in a formation and you go through a safety brief with them and you tell them how not to be a degenerate over the weekend. So as your NCO, I was an NCO, I don't have to come get you out of jail. So here it goes. We start the same. Do not beat your wife, dog, or child. Drink water. Reach out before you crash out. Eat normal meals. Take all of your mental health meds and go to therapy. Make sure that you are going out and touching grass and spending time outside of the activism community and with people that you love. It doesn't have to be your family, but people that matter to you. Do not buy zoo animals on the black market and then try to donate them to the zoo. Doesn't work out the way you think it will. Also, protect the most vulnerable around you. Like our oath is not only to the Constitution, it is to the people of this country. And so as a lot of us are, we are out in the streets all the time. So as veterans, it is our duty to protect the most vulnerable around us. Do speak out, do call racism out loudly, and do always help your neighbor and make racists afraid again, as Tom's shirt says. Demi, did I miss anything?
No, I think you covered it.
I
Yeah.
almost fucked that up last weekend, Sarge.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, hold racists accountable. Phone bank for people, get good people elected, so we don't have to do this again. More than welcome to punch Nazis in the face. I feel. Go to your local protest.
Allegedly.
Yeah,
That's a joke.
yeah, and do something good in the world. We need it right now.
And don't drink and drive.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was gonna say, if you drink, make sure you call us, text us. Our DMs are open. We will figure out a way to get you a ride from wherever you are to wherever you're going.
We will gladly pay for your Uber.
My mom
if you-
almost lost her life to a drunk driver, and
Oh.
Katie's sober, so we'll come fight you or something.
yeah. And Rory's, as always, change your socks,
Yes, change your socks, drink water.
drink water.
Beat the heat, Drew Sarge. Beat the heat.
But no, in all seriousness, thank you, Demi. Just a little sake goes a long way. I don't drink. I'm 13 years sober. You know, it's not for everybody, but I like to drink and punch people. I figured it was not an asset to my personality. And so don't rappel out of a window to secure your beer bong. That is also a good one. I like it. Like, for anybody that's
Oh,
watching
man.
that doesn't know anything about the military, this is all normal and things that you hear. And oh, I forgot one. Do not conduct live fire exercises in housing developments.
Mm-hmm.
Ooh,
Don't
zoo
fight
animals.
anybody in the gym.
I saw your live the other day. I'll call you. No, but in all seriousness, like, thank you for coming on. Like, I have thoroughly enjoyed this. You know, we will get you in our chats. We have gathered a lot of veterans that are running into at least our general chat, because coalition building matters, and you're an organizer, I'm an organizer. I understand that. And so building coalitions across the country of veteran politicians running is, I think, a really good idea. And so thank you for coming on. Still a huge fangirl. Like, I think you're great. Thank you for speaking out. Number one, I think it is important that soldiers understand that your conscience matters. Moral injury is a talking point that people don't understand enough about. And so speaking out matters if it is against your conscience, and doing the right thing and following the Constitution. And so I am a huge fan. Thank you for coming on. And you know, I hope you join us in our chats, and you can come see more safety briefs, because that's more like our chat. It's a constant safety brief.
Thank you all for having me, and I appreciate all the work that all of you do. And I want to see you guys again soon. So yeah, let's figure something out. And thank you again. You guys are so great. I love being with veterans.
Yeah, and like, it has been really fun. Like, this has been one of the funnest smoke pits that we've had doing with like a politician. One, because we do them, just so everybody knows watching this, we also do these with like just veterans that are like not like, there are people running that jump in them, and we talk about policy and how to fix the world. And so this has been a really good one. I have thoroughly enjoyed it, and I hope you join us, and we will see more of you.
I
Yeah.
enjoy that you say fuck a lot. Makes me so happy.
My team does not.
Tell them to fuck off.
Yeah, she asked.
We do this
She
twice a
asked-
week on Wednesdays and Saturdays starting at 8 for
Okay.
everyone that's watching.
And who is our next guest on Wednesday? Somebody has the list.
I have to pull the list up. I don't have it pulled up. Who? Find out next time.
On the next episode of Dragon Ball Z.
I gotta pull the list up. I'm sorry, Katie. You put me on the spot. Dang it.
My bad. We have somebody. But no, it is every Wednesday and Saturday. We have some interesting people coming up. I do know at the end of the month, we have someone from the Beaver Party and we have someone from the Bull Moose Party. And so it is going to be an interesting month here in the Smoke Pit. Learning, right? Education.
Next week is the 14th. We have. I'm going to butcher this, and I apologize if you are watching, and I will let you school me on it Wednesday.
If it sounds like you, it's you.
I believe it's supposed to be Demi Palecek.
That's my real name.
Oh. Well, then, Katie, your dates are wrong on the list.
Sounds about right with CBI.
Kaylee for Congress, then, is what I'm assuming it is.
Yes. So, yeah, Kaylee for Congress is running in Idaho for, yeah, it is her. So that will be on Wednesday from 8 to 10 Eastern. Everybody is welcome to come and just find out about her candidacy and her policy. But Demi, it's been great. I hope we do meet in DC on 2/28 for the March for Democracy. It should be a really good time. I know that you will be in the thick of election season, but if you do want a small vacay to come yell in DC, like we will be there. So
Amazing. Thank you so much. And you're all welcome in Chicago. So let me know when.
I might come up, but it has to be warm because fuck the cold. All right, everybody, have a good night.
Good night, y'all. Thank y'all.
Bye.
Peace out.